Hey, I'm LeviZeal, and this video will help you improve on your starting UI. So here we are, just birthed onto Eorzea, eager to save the world as the Warrior of Light. But bam, we're hit with this UI. This is the first boss of the game, and this is how we beat it. The tutorial will be broken down to three main sections: General HUD, Combat HUD, and Character Names. The goal is to improve on the starting UI, not completely change it, as this is what Square Enix intended for new players to start with. So let's begin. Starting with the General HUD, this encompasses everything that you currently see on the screen. To begin customization, let's head to the System menu and click on HUD Layout. With the General HUD, the idea is to make everything smaller and push to the edges of the screen. We'll start with the main menu. Click on the current UI element drop-down menu and find main menu. Or you can just click the element as you see it on the screen in the bottom right. You then click the gear icon, click its current size represented by the percentage and make it smaller. Then click Save. To begin with, make everything 80%, then move it to the edge of the screen. 80% is for most UI elements, and I like to go 60% for hotbars. Another way to create some screen estate is to simply make some elements invisible. This inventory grid, for example, it has little benefits in the beginning. If you want to get rid of it, we go to the element settings and click on display element. Everything invisible that I don't need for now, I like to move to the bottom left corner so we can see things better while editing. From here, let's make every other UI element smaller and we'll move after. Once resized, push the corner UI elements further to the edges of the screen and move everything invisible to the bottom left corner. You can ignore placements of the UI in the middle third of the screen, as well as the party and enemy lists, as we'll do this in the Combat HUD section. Once that's done, you want to reduce the number of duties showcased. Open System menu and go to Character Configuration. Click UI Settings and go to HUD. Here, reduce the number of duties displayed to just one. Go ahead and do more if you prefer. Now, the last bit of the General HUD is the chat in the bottom left corner. We can't really read much with these base specs for the chat, so you can make the area bigger by dragging the top right corner. You can then make the fonts bigger by clicking the gear icon to open the chat log settings, and change the font size in general and log details to 16. If it's too small, go bigger, too big, go smaller. 16 is good for my eyes on my current screen. That's for General HUD, now let's move on to the Combat HUD. The Combat HUD represents UI elements that are important in combat, providing constantly changing information. We'll start with the experience and parameter bars. Once resized, move the experience bar to the edge and parameter bar right above it. If you're playing with a controller, you can ignore the hotbars and just edit the cross hotbar. For mouse and keyboard, you only need the first two hotbars and pet hotbar for now. Reposition these two hotbars closer to the bottom. The rest can be minimized and put away to the sides for better viewing while editing. The pet hotbar can either go above the last hotbar or this side like so, and the progress bar just above the last hotbar in the middle. Now, we can clean up these hotbars even further by going onto Character Configuration and then Hotbar Settings. Tick Hide Unassigned Slots, untick hotbar numbers, and cycling button. Now that the hotbars look a lot cleaner, let's do the status info. There are three main types in Final Fantasy XIV: Enhancement, Enfeeblement, and Other. When going into its settings, you will be able to edit all three. Once resized, scroll to the bottom and make Other right justified, and Enhancement and Enfeeblement to left justified 20x1 for all three. 20x1 will show up to 20 statuses within one row. Right justified beginning from the right, whereas left from the left. Push Other to the edge and against the minimap. And move enhancements just above your last hotbar and enfeeblement just above it. The reason we're moving these down here is because we want these icons to be close to where our eyes usually are during combat, to receive the cues and respond accordingly, oftentimes within a second. Let's now move to the gauges. This includes the limit gauge and your class or job gauges. If you're still very low level, you won't have these active yet. I like to move these to the bottom right for now to keep them close to our skills. Next, let's move the target information. Once resized, I like to move the target bar a bit lower as they make it easier for our eyes to monitor from our skills to this area. The focus target bar, move it under the main target bar and to the right. Once that's done, let's now do the name list. This is the current state of our UI in combat after all the edits. So let's tidy it up and ensure they don't stack when we have big parties and a lot of enemies. After resizing, begin with the party list. Move it to the edge and align with the target bar. The enemy list now goes just to its right. If you're playing a healer, the party list and enemy list may be switched, as it is more important for you to see your party list. For the alliance lists, move them above the party and enemy lists. These won't come to play until bigger duties later on. And that's it for the combat HUD, and it should now look like this. Now that's done, the last bit is character names. As you can see, currently names are all over the place. Some people like this, as it's a very MMO thing, so if you do, keep them. Head to character config and click display name settings. Under own, we want to change all the display name settings to only when targeted, meaning that only when clicked. Under others, for all name types except for friends, you want to change display name settings once more to only when targeted. You can keep friends as always, as it's nice to see your friends' names pop up when you're walking about. Now under NPC, keep all types until objects is always on display, as this will help you differentiate between characters and quest objects. Everything under objects are not important queues and can be changed to just when targeted. That's it, we went from this to this. Remember, this tutorial is merely to improve on the starting UI. Once you progress in the game, you'll want to customize your UI even more, as you'll develop preferences based on your playstyle and role. For example, this is how my current UI looks like, which I really like, as it clears pretty much 2/3 of the screen for just the game's visuals. But you can make it however you like. The customization options are limitless. You're now ready to navigate through Eorzea and actually see things. Please like the video if you found it helpful and leave a comment if you have any questions. I'm streaming Final Fantasy XIV as a first playthrough during the week. Come by if you want to hang out or just learn about the game together. That's it for now. I'm LeviZeal. Until next time.